Welcome to the Total Soccer Show and our preview of the 2025 Club World Cup, a brand new tournament format for a brave new world, as no one's calling it. On this episode, which we're splitting into two parts, we're taking a look at all 32 teams, but we're going to have a little bit of fun with it. Quiz format incoming. Yes, my name's Ryan Bailey. Joining me today, your friend and mine, Taylor Rockwell. Hello, Taylor.
Hello, Ryan. As with all new concepts for the show, I'm very excited and also slightly terrified to make this happen.
It's just a quiz. What's the worst thing that happens? You get all the answers wrong?
Less so that, more so, I know the way I tend to prepare for these things is to have way too much information, and so I'm slightly worried that my quiz questions are going to be roughly 30 minutes long each. Gonna try to tone it down slightly from that, but I would rather maybe be able to slow it down a bit than have to cram in 45 facts in 10 seconds. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, great. Joe Lowery, a reminder that you're on the clock for this episode. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I am also hoping that Taylor's questions don't last 30 minutes, although if they do, they'll be informative and I'll be taking notes.
Thank you, Joe.
Very good. We're all going to learn stuff. Graham Ruthven, how are you?
I'm very well, Ryan Bailey. Are you in Miami? Are you the only person going to the game on Saturday night?
Yeah, I am in the party in the city where the heat is on all night on the beach to the break of dawn. Thank you very much, Graham. I am indeed in Miami, getting ready for the tournament. I think it's just me and Ice who are going at this point.
Pitbull and Ice, I think, is all's going, yeah.
Ryan, may I ask you an important question?
Always.
Is your favorite rapper Will Smith? Be honest.
I mean, who's this?
Think. I mean, the Spice Girls do rap in Wannabe a little bit. Does that count?
That does. And that is a better answer. I'll give it to you.
It's still Will Smith. Okay, very good. Patreon.com/Total Soccer Show is where you'll find our bonus content, by the way. We'll be talking about the Club World Cup and much more on there. We've got bonus episodes, bonus video, and access to our Discord server, patreon.com/Total Soccer Show. And as a reminder, we are on the YouTube if you'd like to see our visages and my hotel in Miami right now if you care to see it. Check out our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, smash things. Thank you very much. Patreon.com/Total Soccer Show one more time. All right, we have a big quiz to get to. Before we get there, Club World Cup facts. 32 teams from all 6 FIFA confederations are competing. 12 from Europe, 6 from South America, 4 from Asia, 4 from Africa, 4 from North Central America and the Caribbean, 1 from Oceania, and 1 team, of course, from the host nation. The prize pool, $1 billion, as he puts his little finger towards the edge of his mouth. Being hosted in 11 cities across the United States, it kicks off, as noted, in Miami this Saturday. This competition was originally due to be held in 2021 in China, cancelled due to the old COVID, remember that? The Club World Cup was first held in the year 2000. Famously, Man United dropped out. I believe it was that year they dropped out because they dropped out the FA Cup, didn't they? Because they wanted to compete in that competition. It went great for them, I seem to remember, at the Club World Cup in 2000. Usually, this tournament's been held in December, typically with 6 or 7 teams, 1 from each confederation and a host guest. But of course, we are expanded this summer, and we may expand further in future editions, perhaps more on that later. Manchester City technically are the current holders. They won this bad boy the last time around. And mentioning the opening game in Miami, Inter Miami against Al Ahly, The Athletic reported earlier this week that around 20,000 tickets sold for the 65,000 capacity Hard Rock Stadium. So there's that. And in the United States, you can watch this in English on TNT Sports and in Spanish on TUDN, Univision, or Unimas. There we go. Facts complete. Now let's get to the lies. Let's get to the lies, Taylor. Let's do it. The format of this quiz is 2 truths and a lie. We're going to go through every group, and for each team, one of us is going to present the other 3 with 2 truths and a lie about that team. Is that true? Yes, that's true. That is the format of this competition.
Lie. Am I doing it right?
You got me.
Well, it could be a lie, because I suspect we may end up giving more information than just the 3 things about certain teams, but I'm going to jump right in with Group A. We've got, in no particular order, Al Ahly, Porto, Palmeiras, and Inter Miami. I'm going to start with Al Ahly of Egypt. Here are your 3 facts, one of which is not true. They qualified by winning the 2020-2021 CAF Champions League, defeating South Africa's Kaizer Chiefs 3-0 in the final. That would be their 10th and most recent Champions League victory. They haven't won it since then. They've managed a paltry 45 league titles, winning their first in 1949, their most recent in 2025. Despite that record of success, here's your third fact, they don't tend to spend a lot of money on transfers, with their record incoming signing being Hussein Al-Shahat in 2019. That midfielder cost 4.35 million euros when he transferred from Al Ain in 2019. So they have they got here by winning the Champions League in 2021, the African Champions League, which is their most recent Champions League victory. They've managed 45 league titles, with their first in 49, their most recent 2025. And they don't spend a lot of money on transfers, their record signing being Hussein Al-Shahat, midfielder, for 4.35 million euros.
Okay, so Taylor's taken the difficult route here. I was hoping one of them would be like their manager as a house cat or something, but you've gone for all very plausible.
No, that's true,
truths,
actually, about Ali.
Yeah, I assumed that was common knowledge, so much so that I didn't want to include it.
Right. Yeah, those all sound believable. Graham?
So I think number 2 is true because they won the title this year, Al Ali, finishing ahead of Pyramids FC, which is one of my favourite names for a team ever. And so I think that's probably true. I think they are the most. It's them and Zamalek, right? They're the two Egyptian powerhouses. So I think that sounds about right. Number 2. Remind me what number 3 was again, Taylor?
The transfer one.
They don't spend a lot of money. They tend to go with like smaller signings. Their record one is 4 million euros. So it's a lot more domestic players.
Might be that one.
For me, Clive, that's the lie.
Yeah, because they are, I think, the most successful CAF Champions League team as well. So
I'm going to give my reason for that being a lie. I'm at a soccer conference right now in Miami, and they gave a presentation yesterday. They look rich. I'm going to say that was a lie.
That was not the lie. The lie is that they have not won the Champions League since 2021. They've won it 2 more times since then. They won it in 2023. They won it in 2024, defeating Wydad FC and Espérance de Tunis, respectively. They lost the 2022 iteration to Wydad FC. So they are a very successful team internationally and then domestically as well. Imam Ashur is their most important player, if not the most important, or one of the most important. He scored 13 goals, got 7 assists last season. Wissam Abu Ali is also very important. He is their primary number 9. So Ashur is kind of the creator, goal scorer, penalty taker. Abu Ali will be their number 9. He got 19 in all competitions for the first team last year. So, lots of goals, a very fun team. Let's go to Porto then. FC Porto, known for their ability to turn a profit when it comes to player sales. Porto have sold at least one player for 40 million euros or more for each of the last 6 seasons.
Oh, that's so good.
Okay, so at least one player of 40 million or more each of the last 6 seasons. Their academy, known as the Porto Gaia Football School, is one of the most famed and successful in the world. I promise that was not the lie. I don't know if it's actually called the football school, but who knows. It has produced names like Vitinha, João Felix, Ruben Neves, as well as current first-teamers Diogo Costa, 17-year-old Rodrigo Mora, and 18-year-old Martim Fernandes. They got here by being the 5th best-ranked team in UEFA over a 4-year period. They regularly make the knockout round of the Champions League, but seldom advance past that point. And they've won the Champions League only once in 2004 with Jose Mourinho. There are your 3. 40 million each of the last 6 seasons, produced a lot of youngsters, got here by being the 5th best team, and have only won the Champions League once so far.
Okay. That last one feels true, at least that they've only won the Champions League once. That feels true. I feel good about that. Graham, Ryan? Thoughts, feelings,
I think so.
opinions?
I think they've only won that once. I'm thinking number 1 feels most likely because their productivity has dropped off a little bit, Porto. They don't have like a vintage team at the moment, and so I'm trying to think who would be the most recent player that they've sold for over that amount of money in the last last season.
Did JWoww Neves come from Porto?
No,
Graham?
he was Benfica.
He was Benfica.
Okay. Yeah, Benfica are the one at the moment who are having a lot more success in selling their star players. Porto, can't quite think who would that be. Luis Diaz was certainly in that list that Taylor talked about.
I don't care for Taylor's smug smile.
Is that what we're going with?
No,
Ryan, what are you thinking?
I'm going rogue. I'm going to say they won the European Cup in like the 1960s as well or something.
Oh, diabolical.
Ryan is correct.
Yes!
I will give it to you. Yeah, Ryan is correct. They won it in 1987 as well. Not quite the 60s, but 87. Nico Gonzalez to Man City last season for 60 million. Also, Galeno to Al Ahly. They've sold a lot of players to Saudi. He was for 50 million euros in the same window. So they're still doing some business. They are a very interesting club at the moment. It was a disappointing campaign for them. They finished 3rd, 11 points back from champions Sporting. Are you all familiar with their manager? I need to spend a second on their manager because I'm very fascinated by him. Okay, I wanted to do trivia about him, but I wasn't sure which direction to go. He is 39 years old. He is Argentine manager Martin Anselmi. He never played professionally, was sacked from his first senior coaching gig after only winning 1 game in 11 matches in the Chilean top flight. He then took a job with Independiente del Valle in Ecuador, where he won the Copa Sudamerica. He left in 2023 to coach Cruz Azul in Mexico, where he had success but no silverware. I think he got them to like second place and maybe like a playoff final. And then he took the Porto gig in January, leading his team to 10 wins, 4 draws in their final 18 matches of the season. So he did well, but doesn't have a huge track record of coaching or playing. So it's a really interesting signing. He prefers a 3-4-3. He uses Spanish striker Samu Amorodian up top as his number 9, who got 19
Who's
goals last
awesome,
season.
by the way. Yeah, that guy is he's a legend. I love him so much.
So I think they will still be fun. I think they will be defensive when they need to be, but then attacking when they need to be. Graham, you have thoughts?
Did you encounter, Taylor, in your research who the Porto president is?
I did. I actually had that as a bit of trivia for later on. I did not know that Andre Villas-Boas was now the president and director, and I think he quit managing to run for office and unseated the former president who'd been there for like 45 years, I think. Like, all right, Andre, coming in, making it happen, and bringing in Martin Anselmi, Copa Sudamerica, baby. That
must have been an amazing PowerPoint that he put on. That's all I'm saying.
It probably was. He prepared for it for like 2 years.
He turned up in his Dakar rally car for that interview.
All right, I will keep it going because I think I'm already going long. Palmeiras, originally founded in 1914 by Italian immigrants as Palestra Italia, which translates to Italian gym. They changed their name to Palmeiras, which is palm trees, in 1942 due to political pressure after Brazil entered World War II on the side of the Allies. They didn't think the Italian connection was good, so they changed the name. They qualified for the Club World Cup after winning Copa Lib in 2021, defeating Flamengo 2-1 in extra time, courtesy of a goal from Daverson. It was their second straight Copa Lib title. And your third one, there's my timer. They've been mostly able to keep those Copa Lib winning squads together since 2021 with only a few personnel losses, most due to retirement or aging out of their prime years. So, changed their name because of World War II. Won Copa Lib twice, have kept those Copa Lib squads together, would be your 3 facts.
They won Copa Lib till you said in 2021, and what was the other year?
I believe the year before that as well.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. That one seems right, because we were talking before we started recording, and the 4 Brazilian teams in this tournament all won Copa Libertadores. I do not remember in what years all of them won it. I know it wasn't 2022 because one of my teams won it in 2022. Yep. So I think that number 2 feels right. It's between 1 and 3 for me, Clive.
I'll tell you right now, Joe. It is true, that one. They did not win.
It is.
The one that they won in 2021 is the one that counts towards this. The one before.
Yes, 2020 would have been too early.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, totally. On board. All right, I've done my part. I'm going to sit back and let you two do the rest.
Wow. 3. Yeah, 3.
Correct. That was the lie. They only have 5 players from that matchday squad still around. Nice. From the entire matchday squad, not just the 11. They cleared out after that season, letting veterans like Gabriel Barbosa and Felipe Melo depart. They also knew some names for big money. Endrick to Real Madrid, moved on. Danilo to Nottingham Forest, Vitor Reis to Barcelona, and Estevao to Chelsea this summer. They can play in a back 3 or a back 4. Their attack is led by Vitor Roque, the Barcelona forward that wasn't meant to be. He is the record South American transfer in their history, which I did not know, when he moved back to Palmeiras for around 26 million euros. 18-year-old winger Estevao will start on the right, 23-year-old Mauricio on the opposite side. I'm very excited to watch Palmeiras. I don't know how good they're going to be, but they will be fun.
Chelsea definitely forget that they sign all these wonder kids and then tell them they're going to join on their 18th birthday, because I was reading yesterday that Kendry Paez has been told he's going to Strasbourg because basically Chelsea don't have a place for him. So
definitely didn't have a whole bit of my Chelsea preview for later about Kendry Paez. Definitely didn't have to change all of that when that reporting came out. The William Estevao is like that dude. He is. If you're looking for a young player to watch in this tournament for any team, Estevao is awesome. He's already got Brazil minutes, if memory serves, just 18. He is so fun to watch on that wing, creative, dynamic, aggressive going forward. he is one of the players I'm probably most excited to see in this tournament. So there's a reason to tune into Palmeiras. Right there.
I think they're gonna win a game 4-3 or lose a game 4-3, but they're gonna score some goals and they're gonna have some unpredictable moments.
Yep.
Speaking of unpredictable moments, final team in this group, Inter Miami. Here are your 3 facts. They qualified for this tournament either as hosts or by winning the 2024 Supporter Shield, depending on who you ask. Either way, it's totally legit, and not just because they employ Lionel Messi. Although I would say Ryan mentioning that the existing Club World Cup has always invited a host or a guest nation does make me feel a little bit better about their inclusion. It's still pretty obvious why they're there. Starting with their inaugural season in 2020, they've had a total of 3 players make 100 or more appearances in total. Only Drake Callender, who is their appearance leader, is still with the team, as Robert Taylor and Leonardo Campagna have since been traded. Prior to taking over at Miami, here's your third one, Javier Mascherano had only 1 coaching gig as head coach of the Argentina U23 team at the Olympics, where he led them to a bronze medal finish, besting Morocco in that third-place game.
Ooh. Okay, well, we know the first one is true. FIFA did award Inter Miami this slot. It was not because they won the Shield, but either one of those options was allowed in that question. So number 1 is true. Number 3, for Javier Mascherano, he did coach Argentina at the Olympics, but before that, he also, if memory serves, did coach Argentina's U20s. And so I don't really know if we're buying that. I could also be completely making that up. So there's a good chance that it's either number 2 or number 3, but I know for a fact it's
Taylor,
not number 1.
remind me of number 2 again. Sorry.
Basically, they've only had 3 players make more than 100 appearances since they launched, only one of whom is still with the club. That would be Drake Callender. Ryan, why did you say third one?
I think the third one's true because I feel like he only had Argentina experience.
That's true for sure.
I think that part is true. I wonder if it's Argentina didn't win the bronze and maybe made it to the final or something.
You crafty
won the
devil.
whole thing.
Graham is correct. Argentina
Well done,
finished
Graham.
second in their group behind Morocco. They drew France in the first knockout round, to whom they lost 1-0. So, a knockout round exit.
Good enough for Inter Miami.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good.
So that's Group A. I tried to be quick. I had a lot in there. Thank you all for playing.
That's what she said. Thank you very much, Taylor. That was excellent. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, this guy is going to talk you through Group B. Join us then. Total Soccer Show, welcome back to our Club World Cup preview, 2 Truths and a Lie edition. Here we go into Group B, which contains the reigning champion of Europe, the reigning champion of South America, and the only American side to win the old CCC in the last 2 decades. We've got Paris Saint-Germain, of course, Atletico Madrid, Botafogo, and the Seattle Sounders in here. This group opening up on Sunday at the Rose Bowl with PSG taking on Atletico Madrid. That one should be pretty tasty. All right, first up, PSG. Ever heard of them? French treble winners, quite good in the Champions League a few weeks ago. They are second. Sorry, they are second favourites behind Real Madrid. Some had them as favourites as well. They are favourites, in fact, with Opta and their supercomputer, with an 18.5% chance of victory.
Nerd.
Bold of them to have the strongest European team as the favourites.
That supercomputer must have strained through that equation.
It's having a rest now. It's done its work, Graham. All right, your 3 truths, one of which is a lie. PSG's kit was designed by notorious French gangster Jacques Mérine. That is, i.e. the blue and the red, as in the theme of their kit, not like this year's kit. PSG have never played at a Club World Cup before. PSG is expected to debut a brand new player in its squad. Those are your 3 truths.
Oh, that's good. Number 2 feels like it could be true, right? Because in old version of the Club World Cup, they would just take the Champions League winner, and PSG hadn't done that. So I feel like number 2 is probably true.
I feel like that's the case. I feel like number 1 is meant to distract because number 3 feels like it would be correct because PSG always
the
have
player?
players, but I'm not sure they have. I think that's the lie.
Graham supercomputer # not Optas Ruthven. Who's the new player? Why can't we not think of this person?
I'm not entirely sure who that player is.
Then let's say 3 is the lie. I feel like if we can't think of the player between the 3 of us, then it has to be.
I feel like number 2 is bait. I feel like number 2 is the one Ryan wants us to go for. Hence his little gesture, his smug gesture on camera there. I think it's 3.
Yep, me too. Locked in.
The lie is number 1. Their kit was not designed by notorious French gangster Jacques Mérine.
I don't know what they were up to in the 80s. You never know.
Yeah, come on.
I don't know.
Who is that? Did you just make that person up?
Jacques Marine, I don't know if there is a movie, I think it's in 2 parts, called Marine, where Vincent Cassel plays the notorious French gangster. It was just what I was thinking of while I was writing this PSG preview. Hey, he's like a really badass French criminal from the 70s, which is the 70s when PSG were founded. Their club kit was actually designed by Daniel Hector, the French fashion designer, who you may have heard of more than Jacques Marine. He was also a financial contributor to starting the club in the 1970s, was Daniel Hector. Fashion house, look it up, bro.
Who is the new player then?
I'll get there in a second. PSG have never played at a Club World Cup before. No French team has played at a Club World Cup before. They've never played a South American team competitively either. That will be happening for the first time at this tournament. PSG is expected to debut a new player in its squad. A 24-man squad for this one. Only one surprise, as the French like to call it. Gabriel Moscardo is his name. Brazilian defensive midfielder. He is 19 years old. Signed for PSG last year. Has been on loan at Corinthians and Stade Rennes. Has made a few appearances in the Cup, I believe, for PSG. Has played for Brazil under 23s. Gabriel Moscardo is the guy who might get a little run out in the United States this summer. There we go.
Well done.
PSG.
Does anyone know the origin story of PSG? It's quite interesting. So basically, they were founded in the 70s by a bunch
Not by a gangster.
Not by a gangster, but by, well, maybe actually. It was a bunch of Parisian businessmen who called the club Paris Saint-Germain, and then the Parisian City Council didn't like the fact that they weren't called Paris FC. They demanded that they change the name. There was a split. Paris FC became another club, and PSG were demoted down to the 3rd tier. Now, obviously, you have Paris FC coming up to Ligue 1 next season, and they're over the street. So you've got the two sibling clubs directly opposite each other. So I found that quite interesting.
There we go. Très intéressant. Thank you very much, Graham. Atletico Madrid, who qualified, of course, as the 6th best ranked eligible team in UEFA over their 4-year ranking. God, I love the way the teams made this tournament. Your 3 truths, one of which is a lie. Atleti is the only club to win the Intercontinental Cup without ever winning a continental championship. Atleti were co-founded by dock workers from Sunderland. Atleti and PSG have only ever played competitively one time. Those are your 3 pieces of information.
Graham's got thoughts.
Number 2 is the lie, right? That's Athletic Club. That's number 2. Because there's no dock in Madrid. That would be Bilbao. And the two of those clubs are linked, which is your thought process in relaying this to Atleti.
What Graham said. Yep. Graham's right.
Oh, look how easily influenced Joe was. Taylor, are you?
Oh, no, now I'm second-guessing myself.
No, don't. No.
I mean, famously landlocked Madrid, it's tough for me to see there being dock workers unless they built one hell of a canal. So I'm going to go with Graham's answer.
Could have been a canal. Graham's correct, yes.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Atleti, as I think we've probably spoken about at least on Soccer 101, was founded in 1903 as a branch of Athletic Club Bilbao by Basque students living in Madrid. And it was, of course, Bilbao who were their etymology, so not their etymology, their history suggests it was either Southampton or Sunderland dock workers who have helped found them and given their colours. So that is the lie. Atleti did win the Intercontinental Cup, which was the competition that preceded the Club World Cup when the European champion and the South American champions played each other. Atletico reached their first European Cup final in 1974. They drew 1-1 with Bayern, but back then there was no penalty shootout. There was a replay. Atletico were thrashed, but Bayern didn't want to play in the Intercontinental Cup that they qualified for that one. So Atleti took their place. They won it in 2 legs against Independiente. So they won the Intercontinental title without winning the Continental title. They're the only team to do so. That's quite cool. And Atleti and PSG have only played each other competitively once. 6 months ago, in the Phasing, Atleti won 2-1 at the Parc de France.
One of my favorite little things about the history of football is that tradition of one team playing another, and then the colors of the crest or some aspect of the team goes to the other, as you had with Atleti. And I love that just so much because you can picture even in the 1800s. People swapping shirts, be like, nah, you keep it, it's for you. And then they just kept wearing that. And I find that to be such a cool cross-cultural connection that continues to exist. I like that even back then and today, people like swapping shirts, people like being friends. Yay, soccer.
Yay, soccer indeed. AFC Wimbledon played Notts County a few weeks ago, and there were fans at Notts County wearing Juventus shirts because famously... No?
Definitely not been mentioned in a future preview. No.
Okay, well, there's one of your lies or truths coming on later on. Botafogo, everybody. Botafogo from Brazil are in this group. They qualified as winners of the 24 Copa Libertadores. We're piecing together those Brazilian winners of the Libertadores slowly in this episode. They're one of 6 CONMEBOL teams involved here. Your 3 facts. Botafogo have provided the Brazil national team with more players for World Cup finals than any other team. Ooh. Botafogo is the current runaway leader in Brazilian Serie A. And Botafogo is owned by the same owner as Crystal Palace and Lyon. Those are your 3 facts. Graham's always sat up to attention like he's got it already. What is it? Go on.
Number 3 is true. Yep. John Textor is the Botafogo owner. Number 1 could be true. I don't know about that. But number 2, I think Botafogo are having quite a bad season at the moment. They did win, as you mentioned, Ryan, they did win the Copa Lib last year. But I think this is where I start second-guess myself. Are they? My reflex reaction was they're not having a great season.
Graham, I think you're correct about that. I do not believe that Botafogo are having a great year. They move Almada over to Europe. I think number 2 is the lie.
I would agree with that, because I think they have had a sizable impact on the Brazilian national team throughout history. I don't think it's like one particular period, but it might be. But I think that one is true as well. So yeah, I'll go runaway leaders is a lie.
Bingo! You all nailed it. Well done. So Botafogo have indeed provided Brazil with the most World Cup players, 47 to date. This was mostly in the 50s and 60s. Okay. Your Garinchas, your Nilton Santoses, your Didis, all those names that I'm sure Joe is extremely familiar with. At one point, you could fill an entire... Didi, not Didi Haman. At one point, you could field an entire Brazilian 11 composed entirely of Botafogo players back in the day. As Graham noted, the club is owned by John Textor, who bought 90% in January 2022. They are, in trouble now, that group, of course, because Palace and Lyon are both in the Europa League, and they both can't be. So that one is going to be resolved soon. And as established, Botafogo is very much not the runaway leader in the Brazilian top flight. They have seen their squad somewhat ransacked and depleted since that Libertadores win last November. They sit 6th in the league after 11 games as we record. They've had 2 transfer windows since they won at Libertadores. Their top scorer, Junior Santos, went to Mineiro. Captain and defensive midfielder Chichi saw his contract expire at year's end. He's now gone to Vasco da Gama. Rafael da Silva of Man United fame retired at age 34. Thiago Almada and Luis Enrique left for Lyon and Zenit respectively. There we go. Botafogo. Very good.
What about Fabio da Silva? Do they have to retire at the same time or actually...
He's still going. I'm pretty sure.
Wow. What? Betrayal.
Wow.
Oh, now I'm checking. He might. No, he stopped. He stopped in 2024. They're both done.
Bonus Botafogo fact, which I couldn't verify with 2 sources, but I'll give it to you anyway. The club also tried to adopt Donald Duck as its official mascot in the 1940s. Failed to secure the rights from Disney, but hey, they're playing in Pasadena. They could go check out Big D while they're there and see if they can secure those rights. Yes, I just say that. Seattle Sounders, excuse me, are the last group in Group B I will discuss.
Why Donald Duck? I don't get it.
Because he's the coolest one.
Is he?
Yeah, he
doesn't wear any pants.
Yeah, Botafogo didn't used to wear shorts during the game. It was a tribute. Yeah. I should have left that fact in.
And Seattle Sounders. Why Disney would not give them the rights. That's why.
That's it.
Wise.
So the Sounders, winners of the 22 CONCACAF Champions League, the only club in this competition that gets true home advantage in the group stage. They're playing all of their games at Lumen Field. Brian Schmetzer's Barmy Army. Of course, we know about Jesus Ferreira up top. Ryan Kent, Graham's favourite, maybe? I don't know.
Former neighbour, actually.
Former neighbour, there you go. Very good. Nuhu and Alex Rodon as the fullbacks. We know all about Seattle, but what do you know about these facts I'm about to give you? Seattle is the 191st strongest team internationally in the world, according to Opta's power rankings. That's 191. Seattle is playing in its 2nd Club World Cup. Seattle's ownership group includes Joel McHale and Duff McKagan. Joe, would you like to know who those people are?
Joel McHale, I know. I don't know the other person.
Duff is he the guitarist or the drummer? Steven Adler was the drummer for Guns N' Roses. Duff was the bassist?
Duff was the bass player.
There you go.
Nice. Very Ryan fact, that third one. The second one is true for sure. Seattle did play at the Club World Cup. They're the first MLS team to ever do it. That was back in, 2023. They lost their first game to Al Ahly. It was very lame. The first one, Ryan, can you read the first one? Oh, they're 191st team. And that feels high, doesn't it? That feels a little high.
It does seem high.
So we've got the 20 Premier League teams. 20. I mean, basically all the Big Five leagues would put Seattle at least in the hundreds. 191st could be right. Sorry, Graham.
It could be right because the lowest ranked non-Auckland team is Al Ain, who are 600 and something. So placing Seattle on that scale.
And the ownership one is interesting because I know that Joel McHale is a Seattle guy. You know, he's a big Seahawks fan. I don't think I've ever heard him talk about the Seattle Sounders before. And I know the Sounders do have some celebrity minority owners. I think Drew Carey owns a chunk of them.
Macklemore.
Yeah, so maybe Ryan's trying to bait us with that third one, and that's the one that's wrong. Graham, Taylor, what do you guys think? That's where I'm leaning.
Did you say they've definitely played in a Club World Cup before?
Yes, 100% they have.
2 years ago,
Okay.
So I think the third one's the lie. I think
my fact was this was their second Club World Cup, just to clarify.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Right. I think the third one's the lie.
I'll be the judge of that.
Fair enough.
No, factual information
Ryan
will be.
Ryan will judge the facts.
Joe, I think I'm gonna roll with that. Even though the ranking does seem off, I don't think I've ever heard those names in particular. And Guns N' Roses aren't Seattle, I don't believe. I think they're LA.
They got a lot of Brazil.
Duff McKagan is.
191. Maybe it's still too high. I'm still going number 3.
So
right. Seems like
is that consensus that number 1 or number 3 is
let's
the lie?
Let's go 3.
Number 3, we think is the lie.
Number 3 is the lie. Congratulations,
Yes.
everybody. Seattle do have celebrities among their ownership group. Not Joel McHale or Duff McKagan, two of Seattle's finest sons. But they have, of course, Drew Carey, Russell Wilson, Sierra, who I believe is Russell Wilson's partner, if I'm not mistaken, Macklemore, Ken Griffey Jr., and bunch of others. Seattle is the 191st strongest team internationally as we record per Opta's power rankings. They are one place below Platense, who just won the Argentine Apertura. Yep, 3 places above Southampton, 100 places above Man United. Kidding about that last one, but feels right. And Seattle is playing in its second Club World Cup. As Joe mentioned, they lost to Al Ahly of Egypt in their other game in the competition. But hey, as I mentioned, home advantage could count big for them in this one. They might actually sell some tickets too. So
is Bunch of Others a Seattle grunge band? Or
yeah, Duff McKagan's side project. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
got you.
There we go. All right, Graham. Group C, tell us about it, won't you?
Yeah, so 4 teams in Group C, as is the case in all the other groups. I have got Bayern Munich, Auckland City, Boca Juniors, and Benfica. I'm going to start with the big dogs in Group C, Bayern Munich, obviously a team and a club that we all know well, having watched them win the Bundesliga every year for the last millennium. So, my 3 facts about them. Number 1, they are one of the largest clubs in the world, still majority owned by its fans. So, yes, Audi, Adidas, Allianz, they all have a stake, but the fans still have the majority control, which gives them voting control over the club. So, in a tournament where we have Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi owned clubs in a competition that's been sponsored by a sovereign wealth fund, I guess it's somewhat refreshing to have a mega club that maintains some sort of ethical core, even if they wear Qatar Airways logo on their sleeve. So that is my first thing. That is either a truth or a lie. Bayern are essentially fan owned. The second thing is related to how successful Bayern Munich are. They are the most successful club in Germany. They've won the Bundesliga title 33 times, which is a lot more than the second most, which is Dortmund and Gladbach, on 5 titles. I don't think I quite realised there was such a disparity between number 1 and number 2 in terms
Feels
of
like Graham's acting.
German clubs.
Feels like Graham's acting. Just going to say that right now.
This is not the fact. The fact is that Manuel Neuer is the player with the most wins in Bundesliga history, the most championships in Bundesliga history, and the most consecutive championships in Bundesliga history. So that is my second thing.
How many more titles does he have than Dortmund, do you think?
A lot more, yeah. Certainly more than 5. And my final thing is that Bayern Munich had the highest possession share of any team in this season's Champions League at 65%. This is a team that wants the ball under Vincent Kompany. I expect that they will dominate possession in pretty much every match they play at the Club World Cup unless they come up against PSG, which could be interesting. So those are my three things. Bayern are fan-owned. Manuel Neuer has won the most titles and matches and everything of any player in Bundesliga history. And the third thing is that Bayern had the highest possession share of any team in Europe this season.
Okay, I'm going to take a run. I think the first one is true because I think they're like 75% owned by fans. But they have, as you mentioned, I think it's Audi and Adidas. I think the Qatar Airways have a small bit. I think they might have a small bit as well. But they are fan-owned, I'm pretty sure. But I mean, I think that's true. The possession one sounds pretty feasible. I'm going to say the lie is Manuel Neuer because I think the highest one will be like Gerd Müller or something like that.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking, almost to the letter, Ryan. Taylor, where are you at?
I mean, he's won a ton, right? And he's definitely won the most because he's been around the longest of that team that's won so much. But they've won so much historically, and I think Gerd Müller is a great shout, so I'll go with that one too.
Yes.
The lie is number 2, so you get a point for that. It's not Gerd Müller. It is Tam Müller. He has won the most Bundesliga titles, the most matches, the most consecutive titles, and he can add one more title to his collection at the Club World Cup because this is his last tournament for Bayern Munich before he leaves to talk to horses or work on his stand-up routine, whatever he's going to do in post-Bayern life.
Yeah.
So,
well done.
Graham, do you know when does Thomas Müller break through? Do you have an idea?
1972.
That's what it feels like, right? I just looked it up. He made his first appearance in 2008, so 4 years before Neuer, I think. All right, cool.
Smart. Yep.
Well done. He was at Schalke before Bayern.
Yeah.
So well done.
Not at all
That's
controversial.
No, not at all. Maybe if Neuer laid off the skiing, he would be up there with the same number of titles as his mate Tam Müller. My next team, that brings me to Oceania's representatives at this tournament, Auckland City, who qualified by winning the OFC Champions League. So my first thing about Auckland City is that they are not even the best team in their own city. That is Auckland FC, who played their first season in the A-League this season and won the regular season, becoming the first team from New Zealand to win an A-League trophy. Auckland FC, they're owned by Bill Foley, who is the Bournemouth owner. A certain Alex Paulson is their goalkeeper. And there was actually a plan for Auckland City to temporarily sign players from Auckland FC for this tournament, because I guess if they're able to compete a little bit better, then that is a better reflection of New Zealand soccer. But that is not going to happen, and Auckland City will be at this tournament with their amateur, semi-pro, part-time team. So that is my first thing about Auckland City. My second thing about them is that they are ranked as the 4,972nd best team in the world by Opta. That ranks them 4,300 places lower than the next worst ranked team in the Club World Cup, which, as I mentioned earlier, is Al Ain at 611. It also ranks them below Brackley Town, who played in the 6th tier of English football this season, the National League North. And Auckland City are a club that plays in front of tiny crowds of just a few hundred. They have a player who is a teacher, another one who is a barber, their GM is a real estate agent, their manager is a dentist. So they are a huge outlier in this tournament. And my final thing about Auckland City is that they have the second most appearances at the Club World Cup of any club. If we're being honest, FIFA doesn't really want a team from Oceania at this tournament, but they don't really fit with like the best teams in the world vibe that Gianni Infantino wants. But Oceania has long been this kind of awkward region where New Zealand are dominant, but they've also been cut adrift by Australian soccer. So only one team has qualified for the Club World Cup more times than Auckland City. So which of those three things is the lie? I'll run through them again. Auckland City, they're not even the best team in their own in their own town, in their own city. The second thing is that they are ranked 4,932nd in the world by Opta. And the third thing is that they've had the second most appearances at the Club World Cup.
Okay, so the first one is true,
correct,
as far as I know. So Bill Foley does own Bournemouth, and it's part of the multi-club ownership group. I think it's called Black Knight something or other. Tim Bezbachenko works for them now. So that one is true. Taylor, where do you land on the second two?
The 4,000, we did a 101 on New Zealand football not too long ago, domestic New Zealand football, and that feels accurate. The Club World Cup one is the one where I'm tripped up because, Ryan, when did you say the Club World Cup first began? Like 2000?
2000.
Yeah. I cannot remember when Australia leaves OFC. That is the thing that's tripping me up because I could see them like having enough teams participate in it before they make that jump. Because I also don't think anybody has been close to touching New Zealand and Oceania since then. But I think that's the lie, because I think maybe there have been other New Zealand teams and maybe some Australian teams that were there. I think they've been there before Auckland City, but I don't think they've been there the most. So that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think that one. I think there's maybe a couple of Asian teams who've had more appearances. That's my theory.
Boom.
Okay, so you're going for number 3 as the lie? You get the point, but your working is not correct. They have made the most appearances at a Club World Cup of any club. They've appeared at the Club World Cup 12 times because they are utterly dominant in OFC. They've won the OFC Champions League 13 times. And as far as I'm aware, I was quickly Googling to check this, I don't think Australian teams play in the AFC Champions League. It's this weird quirk where they can't actually get into this competition as things stand. Or for a long time, maybe they were barred from that competition. I'm sure I heard that or read that.
Wait.
So they've been in this competition 12 times, Auckland City. Before.
That's a great fact. How are they the second best team in their city, but they have the most Club World Cup appearances in that region?
Is that right now?
Go on, Taylor. That is right now.
Because they're semi-pro and to amateur, and Auckland FC were just started and have a ton of money and are now top of the A-League, I believe. So
gotcha. So they have history, and Auckland's the other one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we don't know that for real, but we do. Auckland City have part-time players, and Auckland FC have full internationals and players.
Let's prove it on the field.
So,
all right.
Well done.
Next team,
I didn't realize it wasn't the Australian or the A-League. Auckland at this competition, which of course it isn't. Oh boy, that's going to be a rough one for them.
Yeah, they're going to lose by 100 to Bayern, unfortunately.
Yeah,
it really could be pretty rough in this group as well, which is quite a tough one. They will be up against my next team, Boca Juniors, arguably the most globally renowned club in South America. They're certainly up there, I think, for kind of
River Plains would like an aggressive word.
Yeah,
with
River
you,
Plains
yeah, they would. I think Boca are more recognisable. Anyway, that's not my fact because I can't prove that. This is obviously a club that has produced some of the most iconic players in Argentine football history: Maradona, Tevez, Batistuta. Which brings me to my first thing, which is that one of those iconic players is now the club's president, Juan Roman Riquelme. So he won the election in December 2023, record number of votes. Of course, he's a Boca legend. He was part of the Boca team that won the Copa Lib for the last time back in 2007, and he won on this promise that he would restore Boca as this dominant team in South America. They did make the Copa Lib final last year, but lost that game. And besides that, it's been a really tumultuous first couple of years for President Riquelme. So Boca sacked Fernando Gago as their manager in April. I believe the two of those guys are friends, so that couldn't have been much of an enjoyable experience for Riquelme. They've replaced him since then with Miguel Angel Russo, who is in his third stint as Boca manager and was only hired at the start of June, meaning this month, two weeks ago, he was hired. So there's been all kinds of behind the scenes friction, and Riquelme has tried to force through plans for a new stadium redevelopment. He's facing opposition for that. Of course, the Bombonera, listeners will know, is the famous stadium that has the three sides and then the one straight up vertical side. So Riquelme's trying to redevelop that, but it's not really happening for him so far. So this tournament comes at a tricky time for Boca. So my first thing is Riquelme is the club president.
True.
Second thing is...
Because you just said he was trying to redevelop the stadium, yeah.
I mean...
I could be making that whole thing
You
up.
could be, but you're not. Next.
Second thing is that Boca Juniors currently have no fewer than 3 former Manchester United players: Sergio Romero, Marcus Rocco and Edison Cavani. And the profile of those 3 players is interesting because all of those players are well over the age of 30, and that is one of the things that Boca fans are unhappy about at the moment. They want to go back to the days of Boca being the talent factory of Argentine football. This is an old squad. Their average age is 28 and a half. There are some exceptions, like Alan Velasco, who MLS fans will remember. I think he's about 22 years old. Milton Delgado is an exciting teenage midfielder. Valentin Barco was a young star before he joined Brighton last year. But Boca see River Plate producing players like Julian Alvarez and Claudio Echeverri and Enzo Fernandez. And the next one is going to be Franco Mastantuono, who is going to Real Madrid this summer. On. And they wonder why their club can't do the same thing. So that is my second fact, is that Boca Juniors have 3 former Manchester United players. Third thing is related to Boca's kits. You knew that there was going to be some sort of kit fact in this. So legitimately one of the most instantly recognisable teams in world football. It's the blue and the yellow with the yellow band across the middle. That wasn't always their colours. Originally they played in white, and then they played in black and white stripes, and then a light pink. In 1906, they played a final against a team called Nottingham del Almagro, and they played for pink slips, basically. So whoever won that match kept the colour palette, and so the other team would have to change. Boca lost that game, so they looked to the port of Buenos Aires for inspiration, and the first ship to dock in the harbour was a ship from Sweden, and it famously had this big Swedish flag on the side of it. So Boca went with the Swedish colour scheme, which is why they play in blue and yellow.
False. There are no oceans. No, that's not it. Can you give me the phrasing on number 2 again, Graham?
Yes. So Boca have 3 former Manchester United players in their squad.
Liar.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Who's the
Because they
fourth?
have 4.
Because all 3 that he named are true. Who's
Under
the fourth one?
Herrera.
No, he said. I thought you said Herrera. Again.
No.
I didn't.
Oh.
Anderher was left off that list.
I was waiting for him to say it, and he didn't.
So it's Rojo, Cavani, Herrera, and who's the 4th one then?
Romero.
Romero.
Rocco. Yeah.
Cavani.
Well done.
Cavani.
Taylor Bloodhound Rockwell over here sniffing out the lies.
Joe, do you remember that we talked about him on Tuesday?
100% thought Graham said it anyway. I had no idea which one.
Graham wasn't there for that show. We talked about him off air. We talked about who Boca have and how much Under Herrera's career is fascinating to me.
It is fascinating, and I love that. I think more millionaire soccer players should just go and have a year, like a gap year in Argentina or Japan. So, yeah, he's just gone there for the vibes, which I love.
The shirt, or like the club colors thing, is a fascinating story that I did not know, and is yet another reminder that like losing isn't always the worst thing. Because I'm gonna say that one is slightly more iconic than white or black and white or pink. So maybe pink would have been good, but that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Graham.
And it's entirely true. I knew there was a Swedish connection because they had a limited edition shirt recently that I thought about buying, but I didn't know the full story, so that was interesting. Lovely. So, final team in Group C, Benfica. This is a club that's obviously historically the most successful in Portuguese football. They've won the most titles, although they finished second to Sporting in each of the last 2 seasons. Also won the European Cup twice back in the 60s, and my first thing is related to that. My first fact is there is a curse on Benfica. A guy called Bela Gutmann was Benfica manager back then. He won the European Cup for a second time, demanded a new contract. Benfica then refused this, and so he left and infamously said Benfica wouldn't win another European trophy for 100 years. Since then, Benfica have played in 8 European finals and lost them all. So I guess we'll find out if the curse also applies to the Club World Cup. So that's my first thing. My second thing is related to Evangelos Pavlidis, who is their top scorer. Only one player scored more goals than Pavlidis in Portuguese football this season. That was Victor Gyökeres. Pavlidis is actually really interesting because he is capable of creating his own shots and he's well-rounded in terms of his acceleration and his physicality. He's also a really good finisher. I think if it wasn't for Gyökeres, more people would be talking about Pavlidis. He was signed from AZ Alkmaar last year for 18 million, so I think that was pretty good value. So yeah, my thing with Pavlidis is that only one player scored more goals in Portuguese football than him this season. And finally, my last fact is Bruno Lage is Benfica manager. He returned for a second stint in September last year. He's made them stodgier in how they want to play. It is very much the Wolves playbook from Lage, who was at Botafogo in between leaving Wolves and going back to Benfica. They sit deep in a 4-5-1 and look to ground down opponents, don't score many goals, but they are well organised and are difficult to play against. So my 3 facts are there's a curse on Benfica. Pavlidis was the second top scorer in Portuguese football this season. And my third thing is that Bruno Lage likes to play a stodgy style of football that we saw from him at Wolves.
Now, Graham, I think you and I have both written for Bleacher Report at least 3 times each on the curse of Bela Gutmann. But is that a trick because curses aren't real?
Oh, good question.
Is that your answer?
I don't know.
No, number 1 feels right. Even if the curse is
Eusebio prayed at his grave to try to end the curse, and they still lost.
I'm torn between 2 and 3 because Benfica as a team in Portugal have a huge talent advantage over almost everybody that they play, and typically those kinds of teams have a lot of possession, and so I think that one might be the lie. But right before that, I thought number 2 was the lie because that sounded like a believable story from Graham that he just fudged the number where it's actually the 3rd top scorer rather than the 2nd. But I still kind of think number 3 might be the lie.
I go with Joe. I feel like that's the trick, that Lage was stodgy, but then back at Benfica, they play more expansive, they have more money, they're able to score more goals.
Yep.
So I think 3 is the lie.
You liar.
Nice.
Nailed it. That was the lie. Bruno Lage is indeed back at Benfica, but his style of play is not stodgy at all. And in fact, he seems to have completely changed his tune from his Wolves days in that Benfica, they press high, they take risks. They scored 84 goals in 34 league games this season, which, as Joe said, like talent advantage is always going to be a factor there. But they do seem to be a team that is really good in quick transition with... Turkish pronunciation. Aktürkoğlu, who is like a wide forward.
Aktürkoğlu.
Taylor. There we go. And Dutch pronunciation. Schelderup on the other
Nailed
side
it.
as well.
Schelderup.
So there we go. So
It's
I'm
actually
hoping that
Smith.
we're going to get.
It's weirdly Smith.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we're going to get some entertaining soccer from Benfica this tournament.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed, Graham. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Joe's going to tell us about Group D. Join us then. Total Soccer Show, welcome back to our Club World Cup previews. We've got one group left to do in this here part, Group D. Joe, give us your D facts.
Would absolutely love to, Ryan. Nothing would make me happier, especially if you never said that again. In terms of this group, Group D, we have Flamengo, we have Chelsea, we have LAFC, we have ES Tunis. We're going to start with Flamengo. Flamengo were winners of the Copa Libertadores in 2022, thanks to a 1-0 win in the final. That is how they got here. Now let's get to the facts, gentlemen. The first Benfica fact is that Flamengo fact, is that they average the most passes into the penalty area in Brazil's Serie A. So Flamengo averaged the most passes in the penalty area in Brazil's Serie A. And let's stick with
Joe's
another.
Gonna get really technical with these, aren't you?
Yeah, there's some nerdy ones. The second one is also related to how they play and who is leading them from the sidelines. Flamengo's manager will have a reunion when his team goes up against Chelsea in the group stage. Flamengo's manager will have a reunion when his team goes up against Chelsea in the group stage. And the third and final fact, or not fact, is that 3 Flamengo players are on Brazil's World Cup qualifying roster for their June matches. So 3 of those players for Flamengo are in Brazil's World Cup qualifying squad. So we've got the most passes per 90 into the penalty area in Brazil. We've got the manager having a reunion against Chelsea, and 3 Flamengo players on Brazil's World Cup qualifying roster this June. What say you?
Ooh, that's hard.
I feel like I should know the manager one.
Who's the coach?
Is it Scolari?
You're muted,
Taylor, I think
Taylor.
you're
Taylor would
muted.
love to talk, but his lips are moving, but we ain't seeing anything.
Sorry.
Deco up to? Is Deco there?
My dog is in the background sleep barking.
That is not the manager for Flamengo.
Okay. Wait, what was that one again?
Flamengo's manager will have a reunion when his team goes up against Chelsea in this group stage. That's the second of the 3 facts.
I think that's Scolari. I think that's true. I'm sure I've read that Luis Felipe Scolari is.
Big Phil.
Because who else would that be? A former Chelsea manager
Who did you just say is the manager?
or a player, I guess.
Who did you just say, Graham?
Scolari. We're trying to get.
No, what full name did you say?
Luis Felipe Scolari? Is that
Is
not
Felipe Luis their manager?
Oh, that's a good shout.
That's what just jogged it for me. It's like, wait a minute. That sounds vaguely familiar.
He played for them, right?
He played for Chelsea?
And Chelsea, yeah, but he played for Flamenco as
I'm saying that one's true then.
All right,
I think
good.
either way that one's true. I think we've got enough.
The man
bases
whose
to
name
say
I will
that
never
it's-
remember which way it goes, Luis Felipe or Felipe Luis. But yeah, okay. So the World Cup qualifying roster. Let's think about that one for a moment, shall we?
I don't know their squad well enough to know who that could be. Can you remind me of one, Joe, again?
The first option was that Flamengo averaged the most passes into the penalty area per 90 in Brazil's top flight.
It's that one.
I don't think Joe would lie about that.
I think he's
I would
lying
never
about
lie about a number.
All right. I'm saying
Final answer. Clock's ticking.
I'm saying players for Brazil.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
let's go
Graham,
with
you're the tiebreaker.
it. Okay.
Yeah, go for that.
That is incorrect. I mean, you guys are correct. That fact is incorrect. Well done. Nailed it.
Oh,
really
okay.
helpful
We
got
response.
it.
Yeah, you guys are right.
Yes.
Just trying to really
Be
tone
clear,
down
Joe.
emotions. It is
That was a real
5.
VAR whiplash there.
Real 5. Yeah, however. I just did the however. There are 5 Flamengo players in the current Brazil squad. Danilo, Alexandro, Leo Ortiz, Wesley, and Gerson. This is my attempt to illustrate how good this team is. This Flamengo team is very, very good under manager Felipe Luis, which I thought I was going to get you guys with until Graham said Scolari's full name, and that jogged Taylor Rockwell's memory. Infuriating. This Flamengo team is stacked. Like, they have a ton of quality. Their top scorer is Jorjan de Arrascaeta, the Uruguayan, who is an Uruguayan international. On top of those 5 Brazilian national team players, they have Gonzalo Plata, who's an Ecuadorian international, and 2 Uruguayan internationals. This is a very, very good team. They have dominated the top flight in Brazil. They have averaged the most passes, like I said, into the box. They control games with possession under Felipe Luis, who did end his playing career with Flamengo. He retired in December of 2023, then immediately starts coaching in the youth system at Flamengo, goes from U17s to U20s to head coach after Chiche was fired in September. So big names all around this club. They are second in their Copa Lib group right now. I mentioned already top of Serie A. They're a very stacked team. We talked about Wesley. I think Jeff Reuter mentioned Wesley maybe on a show earlier on this week. Right back, 21 years old, dribbly, physical, multiple caps for Brazil already. I mentioned his name in that squad for Brazil this month. Flamengo are very good, and if you're looking for a South American team that has the potential to do some damage in this competition, Flamengo are absolutely one of them. So well done. You all are 1 for 1. Let's move on to Esperance de Tunis. They got here because they moved their way up through the CAF rankings after Al Ahly gobbled up all of those Champions League wins, which I totally forgot ahead of this episode. Could have helped out on that question earlier on in this show. My 2 truths and a lie for ES Tunis. Manager Maher Kanzari is in his 3rd stint as ES Tunis manager. He's 52 years old. He is from Tunisia. None of this is all true. This is just the first part that you have to figure out. He's a former Tunisian international himself. He's also been an assistant and a caretaker manager for the Tunisian men's national team. Uses both a 4-3-3 and a 4-4-2. They tend to play on the break quite a bit. But the first one, for you all to discern, is manager Maher Kanzari is in his 3rd stint as ES Tunis manager. The second one is also related to Maher Kanzari, who is a very interesting figure, as is ES Tunis, who are quite a chaotic club. Kanzari is their 5th, I repeat, 5th manager of this season. Maher Kanzari is the 5th manager of this season for ES Tunis. That is option 2. And option 3 is that ES Tunis had just 20% possession in the first leg of their quarterfinal CAF Champions League matchup with Mamelodi Sundowns back in April. Just 20% of the ball in that first leg against Sundowns. Those are your 3 facts. Kanzari is in his 3rd stint as ES Tunis manager. ES Tunis with Kanzari are on their 5th manager of the season. And ES Tunis had just 20% of the ball in their first leg against Mamelodi Sundowns in the quarterfinals of the Champions League earlier on in April.
All right, so again, I don't think Joe lies about stats. So that leaves 5th manager, or like in terms of possession stats and the like. 5th manager this season versus manager in his 3rd stint. I feel like one of those is the lie, and I feel like they're a lie in that it's actually been like 6 managers, or he's actually like in his 4th stint. Well. And I'm not sure which one it is.
So number 3, Mamelodi Sundowns did play Esperance in that competition because they made it to the final. So
that's true. That is
I
true.
feel like that could, yeah, but I'm trying to piece together. I think that one might be true because Mamelodi Sundowns, not to step on anyone's toes,
step on mine.
Future preview, but they like to have the ball. They're kind of like a flair team, so I think, or they used to be anyway.
We'll find out.
What if the coach has been there 3 times and of those 5 he was 3 of them?
Oh, like a kind of Edin Terzic figure.
Ooh.
I feel like too. I think
too.
I'm trying to get in Joe's head. I think he might have done the Auckland City most appearances thing here, where he's found something incredible and toned it down to 5 when it's actually 6. But as Taylor was suggesting, yeah.
Okay. Final answer?
2.
Yeah.
2.
All right, that is correct. You all have done it again. You are 2 for 2 in my group D.
We're in your head, Joe.
He is only the 4th. Maher Kanzari is only the 4th manager of the season, which I thought was pretty spectacular. But then you all said 6, and I'm like, well, that's not as exciting as it was before. He was fired on the 1st of October. The first manager for Tunis was fired on the 1st of October. Then they had an interim for a month. There's number 2. Then they hired another permanent coach in November. Then they fired him in March. And enter Kanzari, who is in his 3rd stint as ES Tunis manager. Chaotic club, to say the very, very least. Their top scorer is Jan Sasse, who has 10 goals in the league, the 27-year-old Brazilian. He's played in Brazil, Turkey, New Zealand, and now Tunisia. Quite the career for him. This team is not very good. They did win the Tunisian Liga this season. That season concluded in May. They also won the Tunisian Cup on June 1st. They lost that series. Shockingly, they lost a series where they started out with 20% of the ball to Mamelodi Sundowns. They lost in the quarterfinals, as I said. I do not think many people have high expectations for ES Tunis in this competition. That is the nature of the Club World Cup that is incredibly top-heavy. Let's move on to Chelsea, shall we? They get here by winning the Champions League in 2021. That earned them one of UEFA's 12 spots. They fresh off that Conference League win, finishing 4th in the Premier League, going 7 wins and 1 loss in their final 8 games of the year across all competitions. My first option for you gentlemen is, according to the bookmakers, Chelsea are the 5th favorites to win the Club World Cup. Option 2, Gaga Slonina. Remember him? He's in Chelsea's Club World Cup squad. And number 3, Chelsea and Flamengo have never played each other before. Number 1, bookmakers' 5th favorite to win the competition. 2, Slonina's here. And 3, Chelsea and Flamengo have never played each other, but they will have a chance to for the very first time in Group D.
Competitively?
No, they've never played each other at all, one way or another.
So, number 2 is true, because I just saw it on the internet, like yesterday or something, so I know that one's true. Right, Joe, remind me number 1 again? Sorry, I keep
According to the bookmakers, Chelsea are the 5th favorites to win the Club World Cup. Bonus points if you can figure out the teams that are above them.
PSG,
I can't. I don't have the power to give bonus
PSG,
points.
Real Madrid, Man City,
Bayern?
Inter, or Bayern, yeah.
Bayern.
And Bayern, I think that could be true. I think the bookmakers are likely to put Chelsea ahead of Inter.
Yeah, I like that.
The way that bookies work, I think that's likely. So I think that's true. I think the Gaga Slonina, well, I know that one's true. And so number 3 is where I'm leaning.
Yeah, same.
Yep, I'm good with that.
Well done, 3 for 3. They did play
Yes.
each other back in 1998 in a friendly. Chelsea won that game 5-0. I have very little idea who these players are that scored for Chelsea, and
Well,
because
can I
it's in the 90s, I want to. Okay, yeah, I was going to read them, but and ask if you guys know. But Ryan, I want you to start. Go ahead.
Viali.
Yep.
Wise.
Hullet.
Nope.
I think Graham was giving you an answer and not saying that
Yeah, I
Ryan's
realised that.
answer
Pulling
was
that one
wise.
for Joe.
I was like, yeah, that
Dennis
was wise.
Wise.
Good job. Nope.
Gavin Peacock.
Nope.
Oh, wow, we're really pulling them here.
All right, we're done. Poyet. Oh, Poyet. I don't know who that is.
Gustavo Poyet.
Bullet Tooth
Di
Tony.
Matteo. Di Matteo. And Petrescu. Classic.
Dan Petrescu,
Yeah, legends, all of them.
I mean, they actually are. Kind of.
Yeah. No, I believe it. They'll stand the test of time. Yeah, bookmakers do have Chelsea as the 5th favorite to win this thing. All the teams that you named are correct. They are ahead of Inter Milan. Well done. Gaga is in the squad. Played a whole 11 games for Barnsley in League One this past year. What man?
That should do
Things
it.
are going great. The door's open, Gaga, for the number 1 job in the US. So, who knows? Well done on Chelsea, folks. My final team, LAFC. They get here after all the chaos that happened with Club Leon. They were the play-in winner over Club America after Club Leon, who won the CONCACAF Champions League back in 2023, was disqualified because they share ownership with Pachuca, which is something that FIFA knew all along, but waited until the last minute to actually do anything about. Alajuelense from Costa Rica were the ones that sort of reminded FIFA of this, hoping that they would get a spot in the Club World Cup, and FIFA said, thank you very much, get out. And LAFC and Club America were chosen for that game. LAFC were the runners-up to Leon in 2023, and Club America were on top of the CONCACAF rankings. LAFC end up winning that in extra time. Let's get to the 2 truths and 1 lie. Denis Bouanga scored a goal in 3 straight games against PSG, back when he played for Saint-Etienne in France. Number 2, Steve Cherundolo and Taylor Rockwell are best friends, or at very least have played soccer together. And number 3, we are halfway through the MLS season at this point, and so far this year, LAFC's non-Denis Bouanga designated players have scored all of 3 goals. Number 1, Bouanga scored a goal in 3 straight games against PSG. Number 2, Taylor Rockwell and Steve Cherundolo love each other very much. And number 3, LAFC's non-Bouanga DPs have scored a grand total of 3 goals so far in the regular season.
I feel like number 2 is correct, but I'm probably not the authority on that. So
We are
Taylor.
best friends. Me and
Yeah.
Stevie C. I'm going to say they have a designated player spot open, right, Joe?
So
I will
that
not
is-
be telling
it's
you any of that
Giroud,
until we're done.
And it's Undav, who is on loan,
Cengiz
and I
Under.
think he is who is filling that until until Griezmann's contract came to an end, that he's now signed a new one. So I think they have 3 until whatever Under's contract situation
I don't
is.
know how many they've scored. I feel like it's that one.
I think it might be Bouanga scoring 3. I don't know if would that have happened. That's quite a lot against a team like PSG.
I mean, which
I'll go
PSG?
with
Is it
the
one where they weren't fully putting their own players in their defensive third and trying to defend it all?
Is that every single
That's what I'm
PSG
saying.
until this season? I'll go with whatever.
I'm gonna go.
I'm not-
I'm gonna go the DP one. That feels most appropriate and on brand.
Sure.
Ryan?
Yeah, sure.
4 for 4, gentlemen. Well done. You are incorrect about Cengiz Under being the 3rd DP for this team.
okay.
He is now back at Fenerbahce. They just signed in the mini Club World Cup transfer window. You have Iro Dilrosun. He's in on a loan deal from Club America as a DP through July 24th. the shortest loan stint maybe that we've ever seen in MLS, with an option to buy. So Under seemingly wasn't really in the plans for this team, as Graham said, was a short-term loan for him anyway. He goes back to Turkey, and now we do see Dilrosun in this team. He played about 1,000 minutes for Club America last season, if memory serves. We'll see what he can bring for LAFC in this tournament. You all were correct. It was 5 goals between Under and Giroud. Not great return, though, to be very, very clear. I was hoping that it would be believable that they'd only scored 3. I suppose it wasn't quite, but it's still bad. And if LAFC want to make any sort of run out of the group, which I think is the bar for an incredibly successful run for any of these MLS teams, that they want to get out of the group, they're going to need something from a non-Denny Bouanga attacker, who is incredible, by the way. I was thinking about this earlier on this week. I think there is no greater transition threat in CONCACAF, like not just in MLS and CONCACAF, than Denny Bouanga, who is legitimately a Champions League level attacker. I think he is not like for a big team, but is a very, very good player. And if LAFC are going to do anything in this competition, it's going to be him leading the team with the solid midfield and defensive structure behind them, and then also another attacker, whether that's Dilrosun or somebody else, stepping up. But 5 goals between Giroud and Under in the regular season. Well done, fellas. 4 for 4 across the board. That's great stuff.
There we go. Well done, everybody.
Except for Cengiz Under, who last I saw him play got his socks knocked down and was pulling them back up to reveal that he has Cengiz Under shin pads. And I don't think any player needs their own branded shin guards, but he did with his face on them and Cengiz Under written in all red.
No, that's something that Serginho Dest would do, and because it's something Serginho Dest would do, it means that I love it. So I'm gonna have to.
But Serginho Dest would be him, like Cengiz Under were him like dribbling, like it was an action shot. Serginho Dest shin pads would just be him staring blankly at the camera, and then that's what's on the like it would be an expressionless Serginho Dest, sort of confused as to why he's there, which would be appropriate.
Or just him either with a baguette, like a picture of him eating a baguette, or him in that not Chicago Bulls jersey that looks like one, or just his own personal brand logo, which does in fact exist. And I believe he has plastered on one of those capes you wear when you get your hair cut, you know? I think he's got one of those with the Serginho Dest brand on it. All of that is true.
I'm going to jump in on this shin pad riffing to close out part 1 of our Club World Cup 2 Truths and a Lie preview list. We hope you've enjoyed this one. If you did, stick around for part 2 coming to the feed very shortly. Taylor Rockwell, thank you very much. Do I have your word? You'll be on part 2, and you'll tell us all about one of the groups.
You do, even if I didn't get much shin pad knowledge from you. I'll still be on the part 2.
Okay, well, I hope there's no shin pad knowledge to be spoiled in the 2 Truths and a Lie part 2. Joe Lowery, thank you very much indeed for your wisdom as always.
Thank you, Ryan.
Graham Ruthven, pleasure as always, my good man.
Thanks, Ryan Bailey.
And thank you very much, listener, once again for joining us on this one. Look out for part 2 of our Club World Cup preview. But for now, bye!